comes when there is trust. If there was trust between the leaders and the led, anything you bring on board, the people will swallow it hook, line, and sinker. But when there is no trust, when everything you do or say is being suspected by the people you supposedly lead, then it brings down all this problem. And that is exactly what this government is. This government has shown over the course of the last 3 or 4 or 5 years an incredible level of breach of trust in so many
what would you want to see for you to get that trust back?
Unfortunately, we are not an institutionalized democracy yet. We are still an individualized democracy. When President Washington of the United States became the first president after they won the war against the British, there was no law in America that said a president could only serve 2 terms at that time. It was not codified. So when he ran for the first 4 years and ran again for another 4 years, after his 8 years, he was encouraged by his comrades and compatriots to continue in office because they thought he was a good president. But he made mention of something. He said, we came here, we left the United Kingdom to come and build a country around an idea, not around an individual. And it was because of the tyranny of the English king that we came to this land, a barren land, to build this country. If I will perpetuate myself in power, then it defeats the purpose that government should be for and by the people. And therefore he sets a precedent that lasted for 150 years until Franklin Delano Roosevelt served for 4 terms with a Republican Congress that knew that if they had a populist president, he could serve forever. And that was when they codified 2 terms. But John Adams, name all the presidents that came after George Washington, served 2 terms, not because the law said they should, but because the person that served first set a precedent by convention.
So that's built an institution.
That is leadership, and that is an institutionalization. So when you have institutions instead of individuals running government, then the effect and the damage caused by incompetent and inept leaders would be seriously mitigated.
And so far, this is lacking in many of our
absolutely. It's one of my greatest disagreements with President Obasanjo, whom I love and I respected when he was president. I thought his first 8 years from 1999 to 2007 should have been concentrated in building democratic institutions. But he became more powerful than the country, and we ended up with what we have now, and then everybody feels the effect.
I've got Henry Asada here who says, so what are you saying now? Is it that you can only accept a national conference under APC?
No. I said if the president had run on it in 2011 and started in 2011, by now would have known what country we're going. But it's too diversionary, it's too close to election, and we don't trust him.
But you know that he has said before now that, no, there's no need for a conference.
Exactly, so why did he change his mind?
Because the pressure kept on coming.
Members, was that the only pressure that was coming on?
Those who kept
on saying... There was a lot of pressure for him to fire the Minister of Petroleum, did he?
No, but those who kept on saying, we still want a national conference, we need to talk, and then he comes up, okay, let's have this, and suddenly we don't trust this intention.
No. You see, this issue of trust is very key. And I keep repeating it.
But some say it's
fear
in the opposition that he just might, strike oil with this particular talk and will make name and history. And so now that he's actually taken the initiative, your party and some other individuals are saying, no, that's not the time for us to talk.
A lot of people claim that Siwaju advocated for national conference.
Part of those.
Part of those people that advocated for it under Obasanjo. They are not from the same party. They are not really friends. But he advocated for it at that time, in the beginning of 1999 and prior to civilian rule. But when it didn't happen, Obasanjo tried to do it in 2005, 2006, when he was looking for a 3rd term. You see, so the motive matters. The motive matters. The moment this president came on board in 2011, the first thing he started talking about was a 6-year single term. And now all of a sudden, close to 2015, it's looking mathematically almost impossible, with the new PDP coming probably, and then there's a national conference that's going to what? Tilt a couple of few things here and there. Come on, it doesn't make any sense. Well, well, like I tell you, party is in the mind, so the court have settled it, the 7 people.
That's a new one. It's in the mind.
Okay.
Assuming you trusted the motives of the president, would it matter to you that 2015 was so close? At least in the eyes of a politician.
If the president wasn't going to be a contestant or party in 2015 election, if he was a person that has built a reputation for being straightforward, and people trusted him for whatever he was doing, and he acceded to pressures, genuine pressures, to do certain things, and he had done them before, I'm not sure anybody would have bothered by now.
Because you must state very clearly that these are your personal opinions.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
absolutely,
there are people who are out there and trust the intentions of the president and say that 2015 can be sacrificed if truly we're going to be having a genuine discussion.
What's the outcome of the discussion? Who is it going to be up to decide what happens to the report? Is it going to be up to the president, or up to the National Assembly, whom a lot of people don't even trust as well?
Who do you want it to be up to? Who would you suggest?
Sovereignty in a democracy belongs to the people, right?
So don't you think that parties like APC should actually let the people decide and not be so vociferous with their comments, saying, look, we don't want it, we don't trust it? What about the people? What do they say? All the people are not in political parties.
Are the APC people not people? They took a position.
A political party?
Yeah, it's okay. Then other people could take their own positions. PDP, I'm sure PDP took their own positions.
You know, there's this tendency that when they champion that, people have the impression that it's all politics. And I'm sure they don't want that.
But that is, the moment the president announced it, and the president is a political player in a political space, it is all politics.
But he's the president of all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So why don't they see it from that perspective?
That what? That you don't have the right to disagree with him because he's president?
No, that he's the president of all and not just a political player.
No, it doesn't matter, but he's a political player first and foremost before he became a president.
But he's the president of all when he becomes president and not just a political player.
You see, I think it's very straightforward. And going back to Marpe's this thing, how would I want it? I would want to see a new government that has little or no interest in what comes out of it, that is genuine about it. And I would want to see the ethnic nationalities sponsoring their own representatives to come, the government providing the space.
What kind of indicators would you like to see, will pop up that you say this is genuine?
A very trusting leader, a leader that evinces trust in me, that I know for a fact that he's not interested.
Can people trust politicians? They're politicians.
Well, I think leadership. You see, that's what I told you about the subjectivity of leadership and the objectivity of governance. At the end of the day, there has to be an emotional communication between a person who wants to lead you. Let me tell you an important story. When I was in school in the United States, I took a flight from St. Louis to Cincinnati, and I met this old white man, about 72-year white man. And at that time, there was a congressional election that was coming up in the state of Minnesota, and there was this woman who happens to be gay, and she was running for Senate. And, Americans were vilifying her, that she's lesbian, they're not going to vote for her. So I was talking to this old man, and I said, you Americans are hypocrites. I've seen gay parades in this country. How could you say that this woman cannot run for office just because she's a lesbian? And she's been a champion of labor unions and stuff like that. And he smiled at me. He said, well, he was going to vote for her for my information, but he's going to tell me something else. That when you aspire to lead people, then you cannot be like them. There has to be something about you that is above average for you to have the moral legitimacy to say, I want to lead you. So the fact that your people are like this, you have to be a little bit better than them to have the moral right to say, let me lead you. That's where leadership comes in. There has to be something above average that this man has that will command my respect and trust in him. When that is absent, and then you come back to saying that he's a Nigerian after all because he's president, it doesn't matter. He has to be a leader both morally before legally.
So we were to discuss, what do you think should form the meat of the discussion? You know, what do you think we're lacking currently? What is so pressing that the National Assembly cannot address that you think we must come out and hold a separate discussion to address them?
I think the National Assembly have a certain parameters constitutionally on what they can or cannot discuss. And they're being paid to discuss it. So, most people that get into the National Assembly are not interested in discussing certain issues. They're there to promote bills for good governance, not for the nature upon which the country's shape would take. So that's the different thing. That's what a conference might do that National Assembly might not be able to do constitutionally. But at the end of the day, it all boils down to it has to be a legal document, and the only sovereign body that has that right or authority would probably be the National Assembly, because they have the mandate of the people to go and represent us.
Still, but you haven't talked about what exactly they cannot discuss, or what you think they're not interested in discussing.
What I'm not interested?
What they are not interested in discussing.
The National Assembly?
Yeah.
Well, they have parameters of what they can discuss. They can discuss the unity, they can negotiate the unity of this country, certainly.
So you think that should be something we can discuss in the national dialogue?
Can they discuss religion or ethnicity or where you come from? Can there be disagreements of, what you want? Because the National Assembly has to be some sort of, they move by bills and motions, right? So it has to be for the policy, not the politics. They discuss policies, not politics. The conference can discuss politics, not necessarily policy.
So for you, this conference, if it comes up in 2015, after
2015, after there's a new government,
after the elections, it will be okay for you?
Well, the modalities will still have to be subject to people's approval. But I think if the person who is convening it has less interest clearly and has more trust, people have more trust in him, I think it would be a wonderful idea for us to talk.
Well, a quick one here outside this whole talk. Being chairman of the APY, that's the All Progressive Youth Forum,
that's right?
So what's the future of youth in your party?
Oh, it's bright. Absolutely. I've never seen a political party that has given young people more leeway.
When you talk about bright, well, I don't even expect anything less, but when you say more leeway, could you expatiate more with examples? Other than yourself?
Well, I used to make this joke. Well, it's not a joke, it's serious, because I think the new PDP youth leader is 30 years old or so. And I think the APC and, the activities of the young people in the APC forced PDP to catch up, because he thought they had a 60-year-old man as a youth leader. And they say that the youth is in the mind, not in the age. So with a lot of examples, there are a lot of people out there, a lot of young people who are warming up. Some on the bench, some are, juggling on the sides of the pitch, trying to get into the party, and the party has opened its doors. That is a youth party without necessarily calling it so. So we have a very vibrant body and an experienced brain. That's what we have in the APC. The body of the party is actually more of young people than older ones, But the direction we need a good director.
I didn't think you were going to say anything other than that. I mean,
well, if you have a different opinion, you could say it.
No, it's your party, so you have to put them in the best of light. I mean, who wouldn't? Well, Ismail Ahmed is the chairman, All Progressive Youth Forum, also a lawyer. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much, sir.
Well, back in just a moment here. Please join us again.